Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our town hall number 53. As usual, I'm joined by my fellow co hosts, Fence Maker and Arak.
Hi.
One.
And also, as usual, we'll just give a few minutes for people to join in as we post the link around. Those of you who follow us will probably get the notification anyway. Let's post this here. Oh, Rachel is quicker than me this time. She's typing already. I will hold them. All right. So it might be a fairly short town hall this time. We do have some updates to share about how we're going with testing and with the integration. But most of it is actually still kind of in the works. We'll also probably be changing the format of the town hall or the frequency to once per month. Just makes more sense now with the scope of things that we're doing. I think it will be more exciting to have them at that frequency, plus give us more content to share during those town halls. Hi Tomo, hi Boss Cat Rover. So we start with the slides in 1 more minute. I see there was a nice discussion that I missed yesterday. Yeah, I'm happy to see the interest that's in the testing experience. I'd say there has been a bug that we need to fix that has actually rendered some of the horses, uh, let's say, not claimable by the mods, and we're already working on a solution that should improve that greatly. I think that's also one of the reasons the mods have not been able to test as much as they'd wanted to, as their horses are held hostage, I'd say. Possible to claim, but we, instead of claiming them, we have a hopefully more substantial solution. Hi ladies, hi Miran, hi Danny girl, hi Recreator, and I think we can jump into it. All right. Let me just make sure I have the right stuff on here. Okay, that's good. All right, so what's happening? We're going to cover the race viewer and the development, which are actually hand in hand because the race viewer is the focus of our development nowadays. Some game design updates, marketing, and then we have a couple of AMA questions, unless we get more from the live audience right now. On the race viewer side, the focus is still actually on the integration of the 3D viewer with the web app. So we've already put together an API format. We've already implemented some parts of it. We've updated our code so that every race page that you open already includes the details that once the race is already run, that page will include the content needed for the race viewer, except for the simulation itself. And so it will include the horses that have run that race and their details, the track details, etc. So that's already implemented. And our 3D dev is now using that or plugging that into the 3D viewer. That's one. And then the other one is the actual simulation. I've posted an update in Discord maybe last week, I think, end of last week. So that's actually already also done from the development side, but not integrated yet. It's still also pending some review, but hopefully, probably within the next week, should be done. And once done, we hope that will allow the 3D viewer to be tested on the actual races. I might have summarized maybe a little bit too much, but I'll switch over to Nick, who can, I think, give a better explanation of this.
Basically, what what we're doing is integrating the viewer with the rest of the app, and we've met a few either design a little issues. So the race simulation data connection has not been done yet because we weren't storing it correctly in the database. So we didn't have it on hand to just give it easily to the app and the race viewer. And the connection from the app to the race viewer of the same data was not finalized, but we're getting very, very close. So so that's getting much better. And we already have the whole loading of the horses, so details of the color stats and the patterns on the horses. So yeah, really, really, really close. All in all, we've got all our devs working, the 3 teams working together right now, and just like getting that final knot tied and everything just working. And that's the only thing we've still got to be working on next week and everything, because that's the thing we're integrating right now. That's that's the big thing that will, once it works, we'll be extremely close. Now we'll just like keep doing the workflow, making sure that all the cases are covered. But this is getting very, very close.
Yeah, the main functionality will be there. I think we will need to, once that is done on the 3D side, there is a bunch of polishing, including camera work, sequences, etc. On the game side, there's a bunch of testing regarding conditions to make sure basically the instance traces, whether they fully work as intended, conditions for entering races, let's say raffle-based cutoff, which will be for free races, the racing point-based cutoff for nominations or acceptances for making the cut for feature races. These will also need to be tested more extensively. We're limiting the testing now to standard vanilla basic race until things are working, say, as well as we wanted. And then we'll also go on to those conditions and to test entry fee adjustment, prize payout adjustments, and all of these different conditions, which I think is the most exciting part of testing. But also, hopefully, if no surprises, should also be a fairly short period. Really depends on how well that goes, but fingers crossed, and we hope things will go smoothly. Now, this is, I think, what we look forward to the most. It's been an exciting couple of weeks, and I'm hoping within the next week or two, we should have these 3D races integrated well, and then it just comes down to polish, and we'll have the full system and the full loop closed basically for the basic game. Now, game design, we observed that several names within the instance races were actually a bit repetitive. We had a couple of solutions. One of them is to just simply have varying names, and that's what we've done now. In the future, we plan to do a more sophisticated method so that we have, let's say, not random, but almost randomly generated names that still have logic in them for the future. But for now, we'll just stick to the more basic implementation and later on upgrade to that. All right, marketing, over to you, Mark.
Cool. So this is an exciting one because as we teased already, we want to make a bit of a change to our invitational, which was an awesome event run every month using the fan-made game that Eustacia built. And I mean, we still enjoy it, and a lot of people still play it for fun, but we felt like we are getting to the place where we would like to do something different and would like to run the next invitational basically using our viewer and our engine. So quite a change because our engine obviously uses the stats from the horses in a different way. It uses the hidden stats as well. So it's gonna be quite a change versus to what you are used to. But for that, we also changed the dates, meaning that rather than having it this month, we decided we will need a little bit more time to put everything together. We aim to have that race on July 28th at the standard time. we will open the registration for the race tomorrow. So, be prepared. However, very important thing this time, we don't want to make it first come first serve, because there are few variables that can play a role here. We haven't yet fully decided how many horses can actually enter, because there are a few different options that we are considering. So we'll keep you updated on that. But the idea is that do submit your horse, through the registration tweet that you see here. There is an example. We'll gather all of those. We'll see what horses do we have. We plan to have 3 different stat categories. So there'll be 3 races, at least 3 races, maybe more if we do multiple rounds. So that's to be discussed. And the idea here is instead of doing the typical first come first serve, we'll do a raffle. So there is no urgency that you need to submit your horse the second we open the registration, but make sure to do it before we close the window. It will be announced when we start the registration. I think we plan to close it close to the end of the next week, maybe next Friday. And there will be, as I said, there will be 3 different stat categories in each there will be a 700 ADA prize pool, and we also, everyone who will participate in the race, so we'll submit and win the raffle to participate, will get the NFT poster to celebrate this change. As you know, we have a history of doing posters for important milestones, and it's been a while, and we feel like that will be a good opportunity. I don't know, Fahad, if you want to add anything here.
I'll explain on the game design side. I would say the disclaimer is very important. While we will run this on a version of our game engine, this is still pre-balanced. Some people are worried about some level of alpha, let's say, opportunity for learning how their horses run. But I will say that there will be heavy balancing activity that will happen actually in the upcoming period, which could highly change even what you see now from the engine. But the other part also is that we're sticking to a more basic game design where, if you notice, we're asking for stat categories, which is the typical total stats system, not a racing point, let's say, based system. And also, we're not really defining even the distance here. So we're treating it more like a mini game kind of community event without really defining the distance, because I'm sure in Lovelace Downs, the distances or how many laps, and you can maybe pick or optimize your choice here. We're not doing that now. We're assuming actually the same distance, but it could be variable in the future as we tweak the system. So that is coming up later with more realistic, let's say, distances for people to pick their horses. But for now, we'll just take it based on total stats, and we'll let you know what distance is set for each category, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. The stat. Do you know the brackets of
no?
Stats?
I think we will see what submissions we get, and then we will kind of try to make it relatively fair and evenly split, right? So we haven't yet fully solidified that, but we'll definitely make it.
Okay, that's good. All right, next is AMA. So question states, can you state what percentage of the game is ready? I don't like to ask someone building a project for dates, as release date can fluctuate. Percentage complete is usually easier to state. That is absolutely correct. I would say from beginning to end, considering the whole thing, I'd say depends on whether we count balancing or not, whether we count testing the conditions, etc. I'd say we're at Nick, would you agree on 95%, 97, maybe to mainnet?
To mainnet without balancing?
Yeah, I mean, without counting balancing, are we at like 97%? Would you say What's your estimate?
Yeah, I think those numbers like are starting to be too big, like 97 to 3%. That's I would say that the racing itself, the whole package of racing, it's at 95. It's just integrating the viewer and then balancing. There will be balancing though, a lot of balancing happening, but that can happen while we're playing with the beta.
Yeah.
And then breeding is very advanced already. Breeding is at over 90%. It'll be mostly testing it, figuring out anything that happened that is wrong, and then fixing that, and then that'll be done.
Okay.
That's
So
already pretty advanced.
So we agree to an approximate 95%.
97% of the whole thing. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, somewhere between those two. But we also like the only parts left now, and I'm taking a risk by saying only, but this is what we see in front of us is we have the API integration for the race viewer, which includes the storage of race simulation, which is already pending review. We have the horse activation model, which is in the works but fairly trivial, and implementation of that. We have testing of the different conditions. We have the fix for claiming horses or multiple version variation and some user experience thing about claiming horses, which we'll explain later when we have a chance and we have some confirmation that it's working as intended. Balancing the races, the visual improvements and fixes that you guys have seen already in the race viewer, depending on the level of it. Supporting jockeys in the end, not in the engine, I mean the 3D viewer, which we're already fairly advanced in. Actually, we already set up a way to kind of load different things. Supporting silks. I'm not going to count supporting skins. That would need a little bit more work, actually. We also have already, though, been working on that in parallel just to save some time. We've been working on some auto-rigging kind of solution to support all the different animations for the skins, but it still needs a bunch of work and testing there. But that's about all of we have left. I'm sure I've missed a few here and there, but these are the major ones, I would say. I hope this answers a good question. And I like finding a full stack dev. With all respect to the applicants, I think we could not find a candidate that was the right fit for our team. So we're actually still searching, maybe not actively searching, but we're still searching. And if you still have references or know somebody who's interested, it would be a good candidate, please refer them to us. That would be appreciated. There's one more question I got from Discord, which is, let me open this up. Question from Bosscat Rover. Surely this has been addressed many times before. How will prices of Pioneer horses be protected from an investor's point of view regarding breeding? Thank you for insight. So I would say when we designed the Pioneer collection, we designed it with some perks that we intended for those who buy the Pioneer horses. The main one actually being that the horses have a, let's say, reroll option. Basically, to whenever the horse passes away, you can get to reroll that horse into a random new horse. So after it passes, that's the main perk. I would say that surely holds some level of intrinsic value, especially that you are completely, well, whether that's for better or for worse, because it could be either way. You could have a star horse that reincarnates or rerolls into a very bad horse, or the other way around. But that way, you always have that random, let's say, ticket or chance for getting a different horse that may fit better into your breeding program. A bred horse will always be the result of the genetics of its bouts. So you don't have that element in bred horses. That's one. The other thing is a little bit of time saved. Foals will need some time until they're ready to race. So there's that time lag effect. From the moment they're born until they're 2 years old that can race, there is an aging element and there's some time. Whereas Pioneer horses will always be start from 2 years old, be ready to race. And even after they reroll, they will reroll as 2 years old. So you get that perk. And we think those perks are worth something. we do not build this primarily to quote unquote protect investment, because they are game items, I'd say, more than anything else. But we do think that these perks are, let's say, differentiate the pioneers in a way that makes them desirable for those who bought them either early on or are considering buying them now before the game launches. So I hope that answers your question. Any other questions live from chat? Craig says bonjour.
Quickly wanted to answer in French. Merci, bonne Saint-Jean toi aussi. It's the national holiday of my country, basically, of my province. So somebody said Happy St. John's Day. I just wanted to
so happy St. John's Day to you guys.
Thanks.
I didn't know. There's a question from Danny here. Will there be a massive launch party to kick off the first races? Maybe a live stream X space inviting all the Cardano community to participate. That's a good suggestion. I will pass that on to Marek and Rachel to consider.
Definitely. When we get to that point where we want to launch, there will be, we'll do a lot of cool stuff around it. Make a lot of noise, first of all. Second of all, put celebrations around it, do some competitions. We have some of those really nice rare silks that landed in marketing wallet. That could be a good time to the single color one. That could be a good time to find a way for them to go to one of our community members as part of the celebrations and getting active. So we definitely will be doing that, but that probably gets closer to to the mainnet launch, right? So we'll have beta. I'm sure we'll do a little bit of stuff around beta, some announcements. We'll get people in. We mentioned we cannot name names yet, but we do talk to a few different projects / organizations about cooperations that will be possible when we get to the public beta stage. So we'll definitely be hearing more. We are kind of on purpose not pushing this yet. As you know, we've been always against the pure hype for the sake of hype. That might short term hurt a little bit here and there, us included, but I think long term that's a better solution, better approach.
Yeah, but I think the key here is also we've been quiet on marketing, fairly quiet, and focusing on our own, community. But I think the point here is that maybe it's time to start being a bit more vocal as we get there. So let's not forget to make that shift. And question from Grad Physicus. So will every person be able to throw one horse in each stat category for the 28th July race?
Good question. I'll double check with Rachel. I forgot to ask about that. I don't think we would want necessarily that, but maybe given the raffle, that wouldn't be impossible. But then we need to decide what the categories are. So let us quickly align, and when we make an announcement, we'll make it very clear if it's possible. But then, there will be still a raffle, right? So technically, it doesn't guarantee that you will be able to participate in all three.
I would say no harm in having one entry per category. I think that's fair. Okay. All right. I think no more questions. So thank you so much always for tuning in. We, as usual, will keep you posted even between the town halls. If there's any major breakthrough or many updates, as I try to often fit in. The town hall frequency might change in July. I think the calendar might already be out. So we'll have a look. Luke reminds us about snacks for Craig. Thank you for the reminder. No, after the game is launched, there will be snacks for Craig. So thank you so much for tuning in. Always happy to have your audience, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the weekend and great weeks forward. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Yep. Have a good day.